The movie opens with the genius Reed Richards, also known as Mr. Fantastic, searching for his medicine, but is unable to find it, leading us to believe that although he is a genius and a member of the Fantastic Four, he spends little time in his home. He is finally helped by his wife, Sue Storm, also known as the Invisible Woman. Here, in a shocking twist of events, she discloses to him that she is pregnant, and Reed is visibly shocked to know this, as they had tried so much for this day. But after failing for a couple of years, they had stopped talking about this. After this good news sinks in, he embraces his wife and they share a tender moment. Post this, we are shown the heroics of the Fantastic Four, where they had saved the world multiple times in the past. The threats included the Red Ghost and his Super Ape, and also Mole Man, with whom Sue struck a deal bringing peace between the surface dwellers and the subterranean ruled by the Mole Man. The world celebrates them wherever they go and showers them with appreciation and love. Sue and Reed disclose their parenthood to Johnny and Ben. They are elated to know about this news and give the couple their heartfelt congratulations. Next day, Reed receives a strange signal from another galaxy, but is unable to decode the message as it is in an unknown language. Here we see him try out a new teleportation experiment. He uses a device known as the bridge and successfully teleports an egg to a distance of 6 meters to the other side of the room. Trying to be a good and responsible father, Reed carries a couple of tests on the baby, and every test result comes out normal, indicating that the baby does not have any special mutations like its parents. One day, while carrying out some tests, Sue shows him their child by making her skin invisible around the baby, and Reed is quite charmed by seeing his unborn child. That day, while spending time with each other, the team gets an alarm of intrusion and soon see hundreds of meteors-like objects entering the Earth's atmosphere. And we also see a prominent figure in the sky whom we can recognize as the Silver Surfer. Without wasting any time, Johnny and the others go to confront the entity. She questions them if they are the protectors of the world, and Sue responds affirmatively. In a spine-chilling moment, she asks everyone on Earth to hold their loved ones close and to speak what they were afraid to speak all their life. She adds that she is here to herald the end of humanity and to herald the devourer of planets, Galactus. After giving her speech, she starts to return and on her way passes right through a couple of helicopters hovering in the sky, giving us a classic moment of the powers of the Silver Surfer. As expected, Johnny pursues her, and this leads him to outer space where, due to the lack of oxygen, his flame goes out. But just in the nick of time, he manages to grab hold of her surfboard. This leads to him coming face to face with the Silver Surfer, and seeing his efforts, she gives him a reply in her language, which seems to be warm, but the contents cannot be understood as we are unaware of the vocabulary of the language. The four gather in the Baxter Building, and after analyzing the energy signatures of the Silver Surfer, Reed comes to know that she has been in a few planets recently, and all the planets are now destroyed. This leads the Fantastic Four to believe that the Herald was serious about her threats, and Galactus is very much capable of destroying Earth. Johnny reveals to them that she spoke to him in her own language, and her voice contained warmth in it, but he was unable to understand the unknown language. Given Johnny's reputation with women, they suspect that he has feelings for her and is mistaking her hostility for kindness, and hence they just brush off his words. But post their conversation, Sue comes to him, and here Johnny discloses to her that the language matches with the recent space transmissions that they have been receiving but were unable to decode. He adds that given the amount of workload that Reed is going through, it is not a good idea to disclose his findings to him, and hence he wants to do the decoding all alone, trying to solve the situation and to save the planet. The Fantastic Four decide to track the Herald's energy signatures and head to the planet where she is currently staying, knowing fully well that she will lead them to Galactus. Next day, they board their spaceship with the intent of facing Galactus, and their fans and all the citizens of the country gather to wish them the best of luck. After traveling in space for quite a few hours, they finally reach their destination. Post reaching there, a strange beam of light scans their ship and finally stops at Sue's belly as if it is scanning her child. They're soon met by the Silver Surfer, who welcomes them and begins taking them to her master. Here, Johnny asks her what she meant by those words while they were in outer space in their previous encounter. She replies, "It meant to die with yours, and it is a blessing in their language." Being confronted by human beings, Galactus wishes to know their motive behind their journey, to which the group responds that they are here to talk and to bargain so that Galactus spares Earth. After giving it some thought, Galactus agrees to spare Earth on the condition that Reed and Sue give up their child in return. He adds that the unborn child possesses the power cosmic, a source of unlimited energy, and hence he is prepared to trade Earth in exchange for the child. Reed replies that the unborn child has no special power as he had already tested for mutations, and all the results came out normal. Galactus quickly shuts him down and uses his eyes to stare at Sue, making her go into labor. A furious Reed vehemently refuses his offer and replies that he will neither have their child nor the Earth. Disappointed at the situation, Galactus threatens them that he will slowly devour Earth while their child watches it being destroyed. Johnny has had enough of this and charges at him at full speed. He destroys the cables that were transferring energy to the giant Galactus from that planet, making him scream in pain. Seeing her master being attacked, the Silver Surfer springs into action and starts chasing Johnny. At this time of peril, his oxygen supply reaches a critical point, and although unwilling to give up, the Human Torch is forced to fall back. Seizing this opportunity, the Herald tries to get back at him, but Ben intervenes and tackles her, making her stop temporarily. Taking this opportunity, Ben grabs Johnny and Reed grabs Sue, and the group heads back to their ship and starts their escape from that planet. But the danger is far from over as the Silver Surfer gives chase. Given her condition, Sue is not able to fight the Silver Surfer and hence requests Johnny to finish the job for her. Abiding by her request, Johnny uses the spaceship's inbuilt laser systems to target the incoming threat, but she easily dodges them. After firing a few rounds, Johnny finally manages to hit her, but she proves to be too strong of an opponent and gets back on her surfboard within a few seconds. Seeing no other option, Reed comes up with a plan and asks Ben to drive the spaceship towards a black hole. Once they reach near it, Reed requests Sue to use her powers to make the ship invisible. Seeing the ship vanish in front of her eyes, the Silver Surfer gets baffled, and taking this opportunity, the Fantastic Four divert the ship to another direction, escaping the black hole successfully. Luckily enough, the Herald gets caught by the force of the black hole and vanishes in it. While the group is on their way back, the baby finally starts coming out and Ben assists in the delivery. We finally get to see the baby, who is named Franklin Richards. Upon their entry on Earth, they are approached by journalists and other media personnel. But when they ask about how Reed and his team managed to defeat Galactus, with sadness and fear in his heart, Reed confesses that they have not been able to defeat Galactus and merely went there to negotiate with him and to strike a deal so that Earth gets spared. He adds that Galactus had asked too big a price, which is their son, Franklin Richards, and hence Reed turned down his offer. Finally, when asked if Earth is safe, Reed replies that he does not know. Back at the Baxter Building, Reed tries to find out a solution for their problem, but as it appears, Galactus is too powerful of an entity to deal with. Post that, Johnny discloses to Sue that the Silver Surfer had explained to him the meaning of the words in that unknown language, and using that information, he can decode their language. This will help him to decode the previous 23 transmissions that Earth has received in the recent past. Meanwhile, there's an outrage among the general masses of the planet, as they keep on insisting that Sue should give up her baby to Galactus so that Earth gets spared. This infuriates Sue, and after regaining her composure, she heads outside with little Franklin in her arms. And we see a lot of people already gathered outside the Baxter Building, demanding that she give up Franklin. She addresses them and recalls her childhood memories. She reminds everyone that while her family was traveling, they got into an accident which led to the demise of their mother. Their father tried to be the best father in the world, and he taught Sue to always stick with her family and to fight for everyone. She adds that her mother used to say that she would move heaven and earth to save her children. She reconfirms that they are not going to give up Franklin, but also adds that they will also not allow the Earth to get destroyed because of Franklin. She vows to protect the planet and her child at the same time. Back at the building, Reed gets an idea from Sue's speech and decides to use the bridge to move Earth to another galaxy, which will give them millions of years before Galactus can find them again. But soon, they are faced with a problem. They need to set up a large number of bridges all over the planet so that they can be activated simultaneously before they are capable enough to move an entire planet. This would require a humongous amount of power, in fact, all the power on the entire planet. To achieve this purpose, Reed requests the people all around the globe to save electricity for a fixed time of the day so that they can accumulate enough power to bring their plan to fruition. All the nations in the world come together in support of their plan. They work day and night to finish setting up the bridges in all the major cities all around the globe. Having achieved the first step towards their goal, Reed and his team activate all the bridges at the same time. And we can see everyone being close to their loved ones, hoping for the best to happen. But just when everything seems to be going fine, they suddenly spot one of the bridges going down. And soon enough, more bridges collapse one after the other. To our horror, the herald has reappeared and she is the one responsible for the destruction of the bridges. She continues her rampage and destroys every bridge on the planet except the one in the vicinity of the Baxter building. Sue understands that the Silver Surfer has returned for Franklin, and hence Reed shuts down the Baxter building. As soon as she approaches the last bridge, Johnny intervenes and diverts her attention towards himself. Sure enough, she chases him, and here in a smart move, he transmits the transmissions received from outer space to the nearby digital boards. This takes the Silver Surfer by shock, and she comes to a halt after hearing her name on the audio. Johnny plays the most recent transmission received from outer space, and we are informed that it was in fact received from a planet named Zenla. This planet turns out to be her home. Johnny adds that he had successfully translated those messages and has come to know that they were thanking her for her sacrifice. This leads us to believe that she had sacrificed herself to save her planet from Galactus. Post that she became his herald and has been choosing planets to feed her master. Johnny calls her by her real name Shalabel, and this too takes her by surprise. Johnny also plays the other transmissions, which contain the screams and cries of the people of those other planets which Galactus had destroyed. The screams and cries echo in the air. Not being able to bear the burden of her deeds, she gives off a loud scream and flies to a higher altitude. Johnny follows her, and here he requests her to convince Galactus to take him instead of Franklin. He asserts that she had saved her planet once, and he is trying to do the same. She replies that it is not up to him to choose whom to sacrifice. As a last resort, he requests her help, but she claims that she is not powerful enough to help them. Before returning to her master, she advises them to take Franklin and abandon Earth, and maybe they will survive long enough to forget their regrets. Johnny returns to the Baxter building, and as they are left with only one bridge, Reed comes up with a plan to teleport the giant Galactus. Instead of teleporting the entire planet, he adds that the portal can only remain open for 37 seconds. And within this time frame, they must send Galactus through that portal by any means possible. But they are faced with a new problem, which is to bring Galactus near the vicinity of the bridge. To solve this problem, Sue proposes to use Franklin as bait and lure Galactus near the exact spot so that the bridge can be activated. Understanding the gravity of the situation and the complexity of their mission, the couple spend as much time with their son as possible. Knowing that they have very little time in hand, they plan on evacuating all the residents in Times Square near the Baxter building, as they may be harmed during the confrontation with Galactus. To achieve this purpose, Sue contacts Harvey, also known as the Mole Man. She requests him to give refuge to the people and to take them to Subterranea so that her team can deal with Galactus. Understanding that the fate of the Earth depends on this mission, he agrees, and all the people who used to live in Times Square take temporary refuge in Subterranea, which is ruled by the Mole Man. One day, while the team was spending time with each other, they see Galactus's ship approaching the Earth and prepare themselves for the inevitable clash. The plan is to lure Galactus inside the perimeter of the triangle at the center of the bridge. For this purpose, they place Franklin at the center of the triangle. Soon enough, The ancient being arrives on Earth, and with each of his steps, the ground shakes, making the people in Subterranea afraid. Just before he could reach the baby, Sue uses her force field to stop Galactus, and Johnny manages to burn his eyes, impairing his vision temporarily. Seizing this opportunity, Johnny and Reed swap Franklin with an empty crib. Johnny safely takes Franklin to the Baxter building and keeps him there for the time being before charging back towards Galactus. Reed positions himself near the switch of the bridge and waits for Galactus to step inside the perimeter of the device. But just before he reaches the perimeter, Galactus stops and takes a step back as if sensing something to be wrong. He soon scans the surroundings with his eyes and to our shock locates Franklin inside the Baxter building. A disappointed Galactus calls them clever little bugs and starts approaching the building. In order to stop him from taking the child, Ben throws a large oil tanker towards the giant and Johnny sets him ablaze. But this seems to have no effect on him. Ben decides to throw a large crane at him, but Galactus in turn grabs hold of the crane and using it throws Ben high up into the sky. Seeing his friend in danger, Johnny decides to save him first. Sue tries to divert his attention using their car, but Galactus manages to make her crash into a nearby building, leading to Sue losing her consciousness. Reed also tries to fight this ancient being and manages to strike at some vital points, leading him to scream in pain. But before Reed could hurt him more, Galactus grabs him and begins stretching him like a rubber band. Although possessing a flexible body, Reed soon reaches his limits, and we can see tears appearing on his body. Johnny and Ben appear in the nick of time, and upon some insistence from Johnny, Ben drops his iconic line, "It's clobbering time," and hits the giant at full force. This makes Galactus drop Reed, but the hit is not strong enough to even make a scratch on his face. Both Johnny and Ben crash on the streets, and Galactus starts approaching the Baxter building once again. He soon grabs Franklin and starts to return to his ship. But this is when Sue regains consciousness. She uses her force field to stop the ancient giant on his path and literally pushes him back. He tries to fight back, but this time he is faced with an angered Sue, who is trying to protect her child. She proves to be more powerful than Galactus, and he is forced to hold on to a nearby building to keep his balance. Ben soon arrives and smashes the pillars of the building, giving Sue a little bit of support. As soon as Galactus enters the perimeter, Johnny activates the bridge, and this opens a portal leading to the far edges of the universe. Reed also saves Franklin in the nick of time. Using her last bit of strength, Sue shoves Galactus inside the portal. And seeing this, Ben rejoices, and we see Sue falling to the ground out of exhaustion. But his happiness is short-lived as the powerful Galactus manages to climb out of the portal as a few seconds remain for the portal to be closed. This is when Johnny decides to sacrifice himself and requests the team to tell Franklin that Uncle Johnny loves him. Saying this, he charges at Galactus at full speed. But in a shocking twist of events, Shalabel pushes him aside and plunges herself at her master, thereby taking both of them through the portal. Just then the portal closes and finally Earth is saved. The team gathers near Sue to check up on her, and Reed finds out that she is dying and has no pulse. In a panic, he tries to resuscitate her, but even after a few minutes have passed, we do not see any signs of life. Understanding that she has passed away, Ben tries to console Reed. He places little Franklin on his mother's chest so that the baby can bid her farewell. But to our shock, we see her fingers twitching, and soon enough, Sue finally comes back to life. We see her eyes glow like never before, indicating that Franklin had used the power cosmic to bring his mother back to life. This also makes us realize that Franklin may have been responsible for changing the test results while being in his mother's womb. The family rejoices in their victory, and all the civilians return from Subterranea to congratulate and thank them. In the post-credit scenes of the movie, we are taken 4 years into the future. While Sue is searching for a book to read to her son, Dr. Doom appears, and we see Franklin touching his face. This is how the movie ends. So, if you find this piece of content worth your while, please like and subscribe for more videos like this.